Hello and welcome to Influence and Growth Mastery. I'm your host, Tonya Gossage, and today I have a very special guest, Adam Nathan, who is the CEO and co-founder of Blaze. Blaze is the #1 marketing AI tool for teams of one. Blaze, is an AI powered content creation platform designed to assist small businesses and solo entrepreneurs in efficiently producing and managing digital marketing content. And you guys know that follow me. This is my world and what I'm all about and what we talk about a lot. And so Adam has a background with organizations like the White House, Apple, and Lyft. He launched Blaze in 2023 to streamline content creation processes for small businesses. And I'm not going to steal Adam's thunder with what all his platform does, because I could probably spend the next 45 minutes telling you everything that it does. I want him to talk about it. But today we are going to talk about how he's grown his business from nothing to one of the fastest growing startups in the last couple of years. We're also going to talk about the ways that founders can manage stress and achieve the outcomes successfully. Lastly, we're going to talk about his entrepreneurial journey, his challenges, successes, and secrets to how he's done it, which we all want to know those secrets, right? So, Adam, welcome. It's so good to have you here and can't wait to hear all about your journey.
Thanks for having me, Tanya.
Well, again, it's so good to have you here. First of all, what I'd like to do is focus a little bit on the features that Blaze offers, because we're going to talk a lot about the benefits as we get into your journey and your successes and your challenges. But tell us a little bit about some of the features that Blaze has to offer the consumers today.
Sure. Well, Blaze is a AI native marketing tool for what we call teams of one. So entrepreneurs, small business owners, freelancers, creatives, agencies, essentially people who have to do marketing but aren't professional marketers by nature. Most of those folks I mentioned are super skilled in what they do. We serve financial advisors, real estate agents, Shopify store owners, manufacturing companies, Main Street, mom and pop shops. And despite their talents, the one thing that they're not often is a full-time marketer, and they wear many, many hats every day. But even though they know they have to do great marketing to grow their business, especially in the online world in which we all now live, they don't have the time or the skills to do that marketing. So Blaze is basically like a virtual marketer for them. Blaze helps to brainstorm ideas, generate content, schedule and post it for you, and then analyze it. And so it does all the things that you might hire a full-time marketer or an agency to do, or even take the time to do on your own. But it does it much more cheaply, much faster, much more effectively than doing it on your own or trying to hire somebody. And it does it all in your brand voice and style. So all the content we produce across social media, blog posts, newsletters, websites, looks and sounds like you, reflects your brand and knowledge about your company. And that's what makes it, I think, even better than often the work that you might do on your own, that you might hire someone to do. I use Blaze for all of my social media content on my Twitter and my LinkedIn, and I'm always impressed by the quality and, of course, the speed at which it produces content. But it's really a tool that helps small businesses grow much faster on the internet.
You know, Adam, one of the things that I have said about tools like Blaze, what you have is literally Blaze could be your entire marketing company if you would allow it to be. It could be your assistant, it could be your entire marketing company, because it does all of the things that we need to do as entrepreneurs today. Or even, a brick and mortar company that needs to do marketing, Blaze can do all of that for you. The other thing that I've said is what you said. It speaks on your behalf oftentimes once you literally feed it the way we respond, and yours, it actually goes out and learns or understands our tone, then it can spit it right back out, which is phenomenal. And lastly, I will say you don't even have to be a marketer to be a marketer when you use something like Blaze because it does it for you, which I think is phenomenal.
Yeah, I think that's we design the product for non-technical people. That's
Hmm.
our focus, and there's lots of AI tools out there that are, I feel like, designed by engineers for other engineers, and so it's like you're chatting with a computer, but most people don't want to chat back and forth with an AI bot. They just want the end product, and in our case that's content that gets posted and shared with their community, with their customers, so that they can grow revenue or sales. And yeah, as you said, there's a lot of tools out there that have started to incorporate AI in them. So if you use Google Docs or Microsoft Office or Canva, they started to, incorporate AI into different elements of the workflow. But what we're trying to do with AI with Blaze is actually replace the workflow entirely, have AI do it for you. So rather than you having to use the tools and learn how to use AI and all these different tools, Blaze is like a person on your team that does the work for you instead of you having to spend time coordinating a workflow across 5 or 10 different tools. And so what we're really competing against at the end of the day, as I mentioned, is you spending money to hire somebody, whether it's full time or an agency, or you having to spend time learning how to do the work on your own. We want Blaze to be basically like a person on your team that's able to, as you mentioned, create content that's really high quality, much faster, and much more cheaply than it would take you to do so today. We have customers on Blaze who have shopped to the number one spot on the Google search page. We've had customers who have gone from 0 to 10,000, 20,000 followers in just a couple months. And if you were to calculate the cost per lead or the cost per follower, it's often under a cent for each of those types of growth. And so that's way cheaper and obviously way faster than even what a human can do. And so that's really the vision we're pursuing, is to help you as a small business owner, as a team of one, level the playing field against much bigger and larger and more resource competitors, so that you're able to grow your business into something great.
Hmm. I love how you said that because I have a framework that's called Who Not How plus AI. And so I tell people it's all about who are you going to use to grow, let's just say in 2025, and who are you going to use? Like, for example, Blaze is a who. It's a something, it's a who that you're going to use to help you grow. But AI, you need to look at as a team member because literally, as I said, it could be your marketing company, it could be your virtual assistant, it could be that team that helps you grow. And so that plus AI is part of that who. So I love how you set that up because that fits right into what I
Yeah,
teach. So I love that. So you
that sounds good to me.
built Blaze. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that sounds exactly right to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you built Blaze into one of the fastest growing startups in just this short period of time. So beyond leveraging AI, what specific strategies or mindsets were key to you achieving this rapid growth?
Well, I think it's very hard, I think, to build a high growth business, and we are a venture backed startup. So there's many types of good businesses out there that don't need to grow very fast. You can in venture capital, they call them lifestyle businesses, but in fact they're often
Mhm.
great businesses. And not every business needs to grow 30% every month or 300% every year. I think it's totally a success if you're just able to cover your costs by making more revenue than what you spend and make a profit. And if you run your own business, you own 100% of it. You're able to take that profit and use it to fund your family's lifestyle or invest in the business again. That's complete success, I think. But in our business, because we're venture backed, we have to grow really, really fast. And there's not many businesses that pursue a market or a value proposition that can grow that fast. I compare venture backed startups to jet fuel, where there's many cars out there, obviously, that are beautiful and diverse and nice, and they just take regular fuel. But you can't put jet fuel in a car. You got to put jet fuel in a jet, and there's only so many places you can fly a plane. Same thing is true with venture backed startups. There's many types of good businesses, but there's only so many that can grow really fast. And
Mhm.
a lot of that comes down to the market that you pick. These days with technology, you can really build anything uh, if you have the right people and enough time. But it really the problem isn't on the supply side; it's on the demand side. Trying to find a market where there's a big underserved need, where you can come into the market pretty quickly with a much better solution, and grow fast from there. And often, what you find with markets, most markets are efficient in the sense that there's good products that already exist to satisfy the things people need. That's the beauty of capitalism. So it's often hard to find a market that has an underserved need, and those markets tend to emerge when there's a big change, either in a new technology, a new consumer behavior, or a new regulatory pattern, where essentially there's a rapid disruption in the market that changes what is possible to be built or what consumers need, and that rapid change creates space for a new entrant. And so it's really hard, in other words, to enter a market that is stable and mature. That's why you don't see anyone competing against Coca-Cola or
Yeah.
Boeing, because unless you see new technology come about or some change in what people want, it's really hard to win against much bigger competitors that people already are happy with. So the reason you see so many AI startups is because AI is this kind of technology disruption that I was just talking about, where we now have access to a new type of technology that creates new markets entirely and changes what people can do. And in the case of marketing, there's lots of tools before that help you distribute your content online, and we have Facebook and Instagram and content management systems for blog posts and email delivery tools like MailChimp. Those have existed for 10 or 20 years, and so we've had tools to get stuff out into the world. But what hasn't been possible is helping people figure out what great content to put out into the world. And so, yeah, you can send an email, but it was really hard to figure out, unless you were an expert, like, how do you write that email in a way that people would open it and click on your buttons? Yeah, you can build a website with Squarespace, but how do you design that website in a way that converts leads into customers? Yeah, you can post on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, but how do you create content that's engaging, that creates followers? All of that expertise required experience, skills, and that was often concentrated in people who were professional marketers or experts, often on the coasts in cities like New York or San Francisco or LA. That knowledge was tribal. It wasn't really, you know, democratized to everybody. Even if you really, wanted it, you'd have to spend a lot of time, spending every night for years learning how to do those things across by reading articles, watching videos on the internet. And most small business owners don't have time for that. And so what AI has allowed us to do is essentially take all of that knowledge, all that tribal knowledge and experience and skills that existed in the heads of a couple thousand people in a couple cities, and now democratize them. So anybody can create really high quality content that reflects their business from wherever they live around the world. And so, I'm saying that as if it's all a foregone conclusion, of course, but the way that we went about building Blaze is we obviously saw that AI was going to create just based on our understanding of how startups work, that there would be a bunch of new opportunities thanks to AI. We saw that the first use cases around AI were that it could generate text, and now things like image and video. The obvious areas inside a business that use text and images are things like marketing, sales, customer service. That's where the first use cases have been emerging. So we built a prototype initially just to kind of see what the technology could do. But more important than what the product was showing it to different types of customers. And we showed, before there was a company called Blaze, we had this prototype, and we showed it to maybe 1,000 people. We built a landing page. We put a couple $1,000s behind ads, got people to the landing page, got them to sign up for a demo, and we showed them this product. And there are all types of people from different types of companies of different sizes and industries. And what we were looking for was like intensity of demand. We wanted to see who looked at this and was like, oh yeah, this is kind of a nice thing, cool, maybe I'll try it later. And who was like, wow, I really need this right now. Like, I want it, what will it cost? I need it in my hands today. And what we saw was that really big companies, big enterprise companies with professional marketers looked at it and they were intrigued. It was a nice to have solution. But all of the people who work at big companies or professional marketers, they're confident in their skills. They don't need another tool. They have workflows that are working for them. But what we saw is small companies, the types of teams I was talking about before that have to do marketing but aren't professional marketers, looked at what we were building at Blaze as a must-have, and they were desperate. They were really hungry, even for, at the time, a pretty inadequate, partially built solution. And so that helped us understand the real need in the market. The real opportunity was not with big companies, even though they're rich and they have a lot of money to buy tools, but it was actually with small companies and teams of one. And so that's where we focused. And in fact, a lot of our competitors, other AI tools, have focused more on the enterprise side of things. I think there's hundreds of enterprise AI tools for marketing and sales and customer service. Very, very competitive, very crowded. But I think in a market that's not as good as our market, because we are helping people that couldn't do this job before. They had no experience or knowledge or skills around how to create great content. They didn't have
Mm-hmm.
time as well, and they were 10 hats. They do their days are filled with paying bills and serving customers and coming up with product ideas. They don't have time to figure out like what to write on Instagram every single day, or and then also write a blog post every single day, and then also write a newsletter once a week. That takes a lot of time, and so AI is able to dramatically change the outcomes for our customers because they have few skills, they have little time, and we can now change the game for them by helping them produce great content, in just minutes. That helps them really grow. And so that's how we figured out really where our niche was in the market. And I think because we validated that early on, we're lucky that that initial kind of subset of customers, the data that we got was correct and has proven to be true even now with hundreds of thousands of users. But that's how we kind of figured out where the market opportunity was, and we've doubled, tripled down on that as we've seen what's called product market fit, where the product that we built matches the needs of the market, and that gave us the initial traction we needed to start to really grow the business.
I love that because I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm thinking, that's me. That's me. Because in my corporate role, I worked so closely to our marketing department and I did so many projects with them, but I wasn't a marketer. And, I did all these campaigns and I helped build all of these things. But again, I wasn't a marketer. And so, whenever I started my consulting business, I had to start marketing and I had to start putting out content. And then I was asked uh, to be a columnist in a magazine. And all of these thoughts started going through my head. And I was like, but I'm not a content writer. I'm not a blogger. I don't write newsletters, but I was getting all these invitations. And I was like, I need something that will help me to be a better writer. And so that's when I started looking for solutions like what you have here with Blaze. And these solutions just keep getting better and better and better. And then, like when I come across your tool and was able to put my website in there, and then it reads and understands the brand voice and it comes back and it tells me, I knew my brand voice was an empowering mentor, but for it to tell me that, I'm like, whoa, and then to be able to take certain pieces of the content and refine it and then refine it again. And the images that we can get today is just so phenomenal. But to be able, just like what you said, to be able to go out and do that research and have those conversations with people to say, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that you're needing? And to be able to build up on that, because I knew I had to become a marketer to run a business. And I wanted to be, and I wanted to get better. And I was willing to do the learning, the development behind it and do all of the research. And I was so intrigued, and to go out and just find the best tools out there. But yeah, so you've done a phenomenal job in what you've done. Looking at the mass content that you can produce today, taking one, I'll just mention this and give you a plug here, taking one PDF document and being able to do 25, 50 pieces of content from one PDF document. I'm not aware, and I have many AI tools out there today. I'm not aware of any other tool that has the capacity to do that today. And so I'm so impressed with what you've built today with Blaze. So thank you
Yeah.
for the tool there. But yes, what you're saying is exactly what people need today. So let's talk about your marketing strategies and the customer acquisition tactics that have been particular effective for you so far. What are some of those strategies that you've been able to use to help acquire your customers, other than what I've just talked about in luring me in? But what are some of the other things that you've been able to do thus far?
Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to acquisition, there's three ways you can acquire customers. You can you can basically spend money to acquire customers. So we call that paid acquisition. That's things like ads, the affiliate programs. Anytime you basically pay, you pay money for a customer, money exchanges hands from us to somebody else, intermediary. There's organic acquisition, which are things like SEO or content where we don't pay. We of course have a capital expenditure. We make an initial investment, but we're not paying per customer to acquire folks. And then we have what we call customer-led growth, where customers are through just using the product or by engaging in our initiatives are growing the product for us. So those are the three core ways we think about growth. And as an initial company or as an early stage company, of course, I'd say as a disclaimer, I wouldn't focus on growing your company unless you feel like you have product market fit. If you haven't built something that people want, it doesn't make sense to invest in growth because those customers will end up churning out the backside. And so whatever time and money you're spending to acquire those customers, you're not going to make that money back if you haven't built something that retains those customers. So many companies prematurely scale or focus on growth when instead they should be focusing on retention and quality. And I think that's pretty critical to feel confident about before you start to grow and spend a lot of resources on growth. And so, of course, we started to focus on growth only after we felt like, we built something that people really need and want and will pay us for over time. But of those three channels initially, you might read a lot of stuff about organic growth. Organic growth, though, is hard to do if you don't have scale because in order for people to read your blog posts, you need to have an installed customer base. You need to have brand awareness. In order for people to watch your YouTube videos or listen to your podcasts, same thing. You need scale. Nobody has heard of your company, so nobody cares what you have to say if you just have, if you just have a couple hundred customers. Same thing is true, I'd say, for so organic growth is great, but it's a long-term strategy, and it's helped by having an installed customer base as you become really big. So it's not, I think, the thing to focus on initially. Same thing is true for customer-led growth. It's really, really great. It's often cheap because if your customers love your product, like it sounds you do with us, Tonya, the customers are just so passionate about what the product does that they're going to help you out. But again, for that to become meaningful, you really need a bunch of customers. You can't do it with 10 customers or 50 customers. You need thousands of customers. And so initially, I recommend that companies, when they're starting to grow, focus on paid growth. It's often given a bad rap. Like, I think people are like, oh, well, ads ads are bad, but ads are really great. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram under Meta, and Google can give you a really easy way to just start growing awareness and getting people into your product. So we, of course, we do a bunch of ads, but I think the question with paid acquisition is how do you get more per dollar than your competitors? Because all of your competitors in the market are buying, let's say, Facebook ads. If you spend $1 on those ads, your competitors spend $1 on those ads, you're never going to grow faster than them. And that might not be your goal. And that's totally fine if it's not. Our goal, because we want to grow really fast, is to figure out how do we grow faster than other products in our space. So our strategy around paid is to look for efficiencies. So where can we get more for every dollar we spend than our competitors are? And we found that in our influencer program. So we we essentially have found people on Instagram as well as YouTube Shorts and TikTok who create content for us. And so we pay them a fixed amount to create a short, often 30 to 60 second post. It is often created under their account, so they have followers. They create a video for us, and that video, if it works, can bring a lot of customers into Blaze. And so we the influencer program has been a huge success for us because essentially we pay some influencers often like a couple $100. Like I think our average spend per video is like $250 per video. Not a lot of money. Most of those videos we swing a lot, so we have a lot of at bats because like a lot of content, most content fails. So I'd say 70-80% of the videos you pay for don't get a lot of views at all. But like a lot of outcomes in tech, there's a logarithmic curve where the top 10 or 20% of videos have hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions of views. And so in order to kind of create that curve, in order to have a couple big winners, you need to swing a lot. And so we have, I think, paid for hundreds, if not thousands of videos from hundreds of influencers over the last year. But the videos that have made it big have made it really big. So some of our biggest videos have, I think, 40 million, 50 million views. And those videos have brought a lot of customers in because they catch on in the algorithms on things like Instagram or TikTok, and they continue to perpetuate. The more people look at them, the more people get shown them. And one thing that we've done that I think has also helped is then we've turned those videos into ads. And so rather than creating our own creative content for ads, we use our influencer program as essentially like an R&D testing ground for what types of hooks or images or music or narratives work. And so we basically buy the rights to videos that go viral in an organic way through our influencers, and then we take them and we put money behind them as ads. And so essentially the fact that they go viral shows that this content is really catchy, and so pretty often that translates well into paid content. We take that same ad, we put money behind it, and that's one way that we've grown really, really fast. So we ended up, we've, I think, one or two of our influencer pieces of content and ads have contributed to like something like 30 or 40% of all of our new users in the last year. And so if you think we only spent 200 or 300 bucks on those pieces of content, that's a really, really good return. Even if you were to look at the total amount of money you spent on the entire influencer program, it's something like $40,000 or $50,000, which is not a lot compared to how much we spend on other ads. And so I think looking for influencers and building an influencer program is a really great way to grow efficiently in the media environment we live in, where it's expensive to it's expensive or not efficient to do ads. It's super expensive to do old media formats, but influencers are a great way to spend a little bit of money, figure out what types of positioning works, and then scale the stuff that becomes winners.
Mm-hmm. I love that, because I'll tell you, well, I can't tell you how many companies that I've gotten involved in just through affiliate links through YouTube. Watching a review on YouTube, going through the affiliate link, buying the product, and then becoming an affiliate of the company, because once you do that, then you become cookied, to that particular person. And then, I may go watch several other YouTube reviews, but then I end up being cookied to the first person that I watched, which is fine, because I'll go back to that person that I first watched it from an integrity standpoint, and purchase through that individual.
Well,
And
the truth is, a lot of the content that you see on Instagram or on YouTube that looks like a review that like someone's just doing it out of the goodness of their heart it's not truly free. Almost all of those pieces of content are paid for by the company. It may not be a lot of money, but rather than an ad, for example, from our company account talking about our product, which people don't trust as much because obviously we're biased, it feels much more authentic if it looks like a real person who's reviewing the product. In some cases, they're truly reviewing it. In some cases, they're going to say nice things because we're paying for them. But a lot of the content out there isn't real, but people react to it as if it is. And that increases the conversion, people clicking on it and trying it out because it's like, oh, this looks like a real person and, a real use case. So that's, I think, that's where modern marketing is today. It's getting real people to create real content. And yeah, you're paying for it, but it converts, it performs a lot better than content that is branded or marketed under our accounts.
Yeah. And I didn't know that for a very long time,
Yeah, most people
there's
don't.
people, I know, I know. And that's great. And there's people, well, actually I didn't know that until, I connected with a founder who had, master resale rights of a product, a tech product. And I contacted him and said, I want to know about this product that I watched on YouTube. And he was like, well, you can purchase the product and then you can go out there and resell it yourself. And he was like, you can create the YouTube shorts if you want to, or you can use mine. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so genius, And so, so that's how I found out about it all. But I, so as I'm teaching, my coaching group about, when they're looking for the best affiliate products to partner with, these are some of the things that I'm teaching them. So it's so awesome that you're talking about this. So let's move on into the area of managing stress as, as you're growing this company, and then us as founders. How do you manage the stress on a day-to-day routine and as you're achieving all of this success, because I know that because you're pushing out things almost daily. I mean, it's every time I log in, I'm seeing coming soon or just launched, or and you guys are doing bi-weekly or weekly webinars. Alan's doing
3 times a week.
webinars
Yeah, yeah.
constantly, and I would love to be on every one of them, but obviously I can't be on all of them. But I love going back and watching a lot of them, but I can't keep up with all of the edits that you're putting out because you're growing so fast. So let's talk about the stress that you as the CEO's got to be under to manage all of this.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an easy answer here. I mean, it's definitely it's a stressful job. We are a high growth startup. That's the game we're playing, and that's not,
Which
I
is
think,
great.
what you should play. Like I I think doing anything in life is hard. Trying to
Hmm.
open a nail salon or a barber shop or a cafe
Hmm.
is just as hard in some ways as doing what I'm doing. So I've chosen to do a bigger thing because I don't think that what I'm doing is, yeah, maybe it's 2 or 5x harder, but it's not 100x harder.
Right.
It's still just really hard. And so vice versa. It's even if you're starting a cafe, just because it's small doesn't mean it's not really difficult. And
Right.
so I have empathy for all the entrepreneurs and business owners out there because it's a really tough job. It's the only job I think I ever want to do. This is my career, and so I look at what we're doing. I look at Blaze as just a job I have right now, but my career is being an entrepreneur. My career is being a founder, and so I love what I do, and hopefully Blaze will be around for a long time. Hopefully, becomes really big and successful. But even after it's over, at whatever point that is, I will probably go and start another thing. So I think about the long journey I'm on, and even Blaze itself is a long journey. The irony of running a successful company is that the more successful it is, the longer the journey gets, the harder it gets. Of course, early on, I think I was afraid, as I should be, as everyone is, around about dying and and kind of
Mhm.
uh, evaporating in ignominy into the ether, and that's that motivated me to succeed because I didn't want to die, and I still don't want to die as a company.
Right.
But I think the chances of that are pretty low at this point for us. But it's harder than it ever has been. The higher up you get on the mountain, the thinner the oxygen is. And of course, all the challenges that come across my desk are all the things other people in the company haven't solved. So I don't see the good stuff. I don't see the stuff that's working. I only see the stuff that's not. And it's kind of like the president. The
Right.
bigger the company, the more complex the organization, the more difficult the problems you see. So the bigger you get, the more the more stressful the daily challenges become, because there's fewer answers that other people can pursue. So I think it's both a sprint and it's a marathon. I hate that
Mhm.
cliche, but it's true. I think the only way to get through a sprint and a marathon is to take rest frequently.
Yes.
So uh, you know, I uh, I went right before this podcast. I was at the gym, and it's 1 o'clock here, so I went to the gym in the middle of the day, and I was having a bad day earlier, and I was like, I need to go to the gym right now because I know that me being in a bad mood at the company is not going to serve anybody well. It's going to create more
Mhm.
stress for other people. One of the things I've
Mhm.
seen over time is that being the CEO, whatever energy I put out into the world always comes back to hit me. So if I'm on a meeting and I chew into somebody,
Mhm.
they don't just absorb that energy and the problem goes away. They're often chewing on it, and then it'll come back in some form. Like they'll feel burnt out, they'll act out in some way. It's kind of like karma in a sense where um, it's not like you can just be in a bad mood and it doesn't end up affecting you at the end. If you're in a bad mood and you're stressed, you're making bad decisions, uh, that creates an environment where it affects other people's performance too, which ultimately again affects my performance because I will have to deal with other people not doing their jobs or doing a bad job. So
Mhm.
it doesn't serve me or anyone else to be anything less than a pretty good to best version of myself most days. And so that means just like any kind of high performance athlete out there, like a NFL player or a track star, you need to treat yourself. You need to prepare, rest, recover, invest in yourself, so that when it's game time, you can be at your top level. So for me, that means getting enough sleep. I've noticed when I get less than 6 hours of sleep, I don't make. I'm in a bad mood. I make worse decisions. I'm less productive. Um, when I don't go to the gym, same thing. My stress level is higher. I feel worse about myself. And when I do go to the gym, I always have a clearer head. My endorphins are going. I have more energy. I feel like I've already accomplished something for the day, even if things at work aren't going great. And so, same thing is true with eating healthy for me. And I feel like that gives me a semblance of control over my life. If I'm just eating,
Mhm.
burgers or pizza or things like that, it makes me feel worse. Again, my head is cloudier. And this all sounds kind of woo woo, but I do think about my
No, it's
job
good.
as being a high performance athlete, just like any kind of sports player. And I think I have to make high pressure decisions in really short amount of time that affect a lot of people. And so, the way I think I can sprint for 5 to 10 years straight is just by really resting and treating myself well in the breaks. And that, again, that doesn't necessarily mean just the weekends. I often work on the weekends because there's no meetings on the weekends, but I take times in the middle of my day throughout the week whenever
Mhm.
I feel like I need a break to recharge, so that uh, I can be good whenever I have to be. And so my schedule doesn't look like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, like some folks, but for me, that works to help me keep my energy up in what has been basically a nonstop sequence of work for the last 5 years, and probably will continue for the next 5 years. I don't take weekends off. I don't have nights off. And I think any CEO or business owner out there knows that even when you're at dinner with friends or you're spending time with family, there's still a lot of there's still a part of your brain that's thinking about the business, and
That's
so
exactly right.
it's not. I don't, and I think that's right. I think if you are as the CEO of the business, I own a lot of equity in the business. That the business succeeding disproportionately benefits me. It's not a normal job. It's my
Right.
life, my ability to provide for my family, have the things I want in my future depends on this going very well. So of course, I think more time is correlated with better results. But the key stipulation there is that yes, you need to spend more time, or more time is generally better. But if you're spending more time and you're not in the right headspace, you don't have the right energy, more time is not necessarily better. It could be worse. And so I think spending that,
Mhm.
yes, more time is good, but you need to make sure that those hours are quality, and doing whatever you need to do to get yourself in the right headspace with the right energy, the right emotional countenance, is critical to making those hours useful.
Mhm. Yeah, you're exactly right. And two, as you mentioned a while ago, if you're not in the right headspace or if you're in a bad mood, it flows over into your team. And if your team is in a bad headspace, then that flows over to us as clients. And so you definitely don't want that to happen, because then who knows what's going to happen at that point when bad customer service is given. So
Yep.
definitely taking that time off during the middle of the day to go to the gym, if that's what it takes, then it's definitely needed. And oftentimes, there's good pictures and bad pictures both painted of entrepreneurship, and it always comes with challenges. I always say it's an experiment. If something doesn't work, then you tweak it, you start over, whatever it takes. And so one of the other things that I say is, your setbacks are opportunities for comebacks. And so I'm sure that you've had setbacks at Blaze. You've had things that have not gone your way, or you've had situations where you've been able to turn a failure into a success. Is there something that sticks out in your mind as we go into closing today's podcast, that you would say that you've had a setback that ultimately became a success for you?
Yeah. Well, I think every day, I have setbacks. I mean, that is the nature. I think the mistake is thinking that normal means you have no problems. I think if you're growing a business,
Mm,
especially at the rate we're growing, there's always
yeah.
a problem. I liken it to, a rocket going into space, where you always see in movies the inside of the rocket ship feels really,
Yeah.
really glittery, and
It's
stuff
shaped in all the time.
looks like it's
Yeah.
going to break. Sometimes when you're taking off in a plane, you hear the metal kind of creak under the pressure,
Yes.
and from the outside it looks totally fine, but when you're inside, it feels like it's all going to break apart. And I think a business, especially a high growth business, is the same way, where if you're growing, there's always going to be some pressure somewhere in the system from the growth, and that pressure will move around. So in our business, when we first started, it was like, oh my god, we gotta. It's all about top of funnel. We know we're not growing fast enough. We don't have enough customers. No one's heard of us. And then as we figured that out, then it was, oh my God, we're getting people to register, but they're not converting in the trial. The product's not good enough. We're not activating them. We're not showing them value fast enough. So then it was like, oh my God, how do we fix that? And then once we fixed that, it was like, oh my God, those people are activating, but then they're not staying long enough. So, okay, how do we keep people around for months and months and months? And then once we figured that out, it was like back to top of funnel again. Like, oh my God, now people are staying, but we don't have enough customers again. And so there's always a problem. And the dissatisfaction comes from expecting it to be any different. I think it makes it a little easier to know that, yes, there will always, if you're growing, there will always be tension in the system. And really progress comes from how quickly can you identify where the pressure is, identify the root cause, and fix it, and how fast can you basically go through that cycle, because the faster you're able to solve problems, the faster you'll be able to grow, because you're relieving pressure wherever it is in the business. And of course it can be also on things like hiring, like, oh, we just don't have enough people to do this, or we don't have enough analytics to understand what's happening in this part of our business, or sometimes it's, oh, we don't have enough cash in the bank, so we need to raise money. And so it can be also things that don't have to do with the core customer lifecycle, but I think a business's growth rate is directly correlated with how fast it can identify and solve challenges, and yes, do so unemotionally. And so I think, you can and I have gotten bogged down by feeling like it's your fault, like, oh my God, I'm so bad at this, and why is this happening to me? And oh, it's my fault, or I'm so unlucky. And I think really great business people tend to be dispassionate about things, where they're able to move past, or even not have emotions about things, and just realize, hey, this is how a business is. This is how life is. There's always pain. There's always suffering, and it's really how I deal with it. And so, yeah, of course, I think the real failure over time is when you're unable to move past a challenge, and when you let it bog you down instead of being able to resolve it. And I think, my advice for a lot of people I talk to is just keep going. I think if everyone just keeps putting one foot in front of another, and you don't just look down at the ground, but you look ahead of you or up, and you're able to learn from what's happening and get better over time, you will eventually succeed. I think anyone out there, all the successful business heroes we read about, they all ate glass for many, many, many years. And what made them successful is that they just didn't stop.
Right.
And, often the bigger the business success, the harder the challenges, the more difficult it was. But the only thing that made those people different than you or me is that they just kept going. And, I think a lot of people, and it's fine to give up. There's no shame in that. Sometimes you're tired, you don't want to do it anymore. There's a better opportunity, you have a personal reason, no judgment there. But if you want to succeed with your business, the number one rule is just don't stop. And if you keep going and you learn along the way, you will succeed.
Consistency is key. Never give up. So, Adam, how can I and my community help you and Blaze continue to grow at a rapid pace?
Well, yeah, I would love for everyone to use the product if it sounds like it'd be helpful to you. We have hundreds of thousands of customers at this point who are using Blaze to grow faster every day. And, we exist for you. I mean, I spend hours a day talking to customers. I talk to 2 to 3 customers every single day. And it's the best part of my day to hear both how Blaze is helping them grow faster, and also what we can do to make Blaze better. And that's our mission here, is to help you grow faster and build something that levels the playing field for a lot of the small businesses out there that have a ton of creativity and energy and drive, but don't have the experience or time like we were talking about. So I'd love to talk to anyone who's interested after you use the tool to hear how the experience is, hear how we can help you grow faster. Whether we have that feature in the product today or we're going to build it in the future, that's our mission. And next year we'll be launching a lot of, because we have all these users, what we've heard from folks is that they want to learn from each other, and not just how to use Blaze really well, but generally just how do you master things like social media and SEO and offline marketing and branding and email marketing. And so we're building a community that'll launch early in 2025. And we're writing a ton of free resources that have nothing to do with our product, just how to achieve mastery in these different areas of marketing. And even if you're not a Blaze customer, we'd still love for you to come to blaze.ai and check out the free resources. Hopefully there's something that's helpful for you. Hopefully you meet someone who has a similar experience you can learn from. That's another way that we think we can help achieve our mission. And, I'm really excited to see what happens when other small business owners can help each other along the way.
And then hopefully they love it so much they become a customer. That's
Hopefully,
always
but
that's always the goal,
yeah.
right? Well, we definitely will put the link to Blaze in the show notes, and we'll go about it from there. And I appreciate you joining us today, and I look forward to much growth with Blaze, Adam, and with you. And we will all of you that are following, if you've not already joined Influence and Growth Mastery Facebook group, please do that. We go over tools just like this, and if you don't know how to use them, I teach you how to use them efficiently and effectively. And until next time, we will see you then. Have a great week. Bye.